Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is The Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games in a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Draft Day Sports College Football 2019, episode number 32. Had a bit of a strange game here so far, our fifth game of the season, 2-2 record. One thing I did notice prior to this game is that every team with a poor record, we have crushed so far. Every team with a good record, we've been competitive against so far, unless their name was Florida, as in a top-ranked team. So, while we are 2-2, we've definitely asserted ourselves against teams like Air Force, at least at the moment. I don't know who they played in their first four games, but at just 1-3, they do not appear to be one of the better teams this season. And as a result, we are much in control of this game. However, at the moment anyway, it's still only a 3-point game as we approach the end of the first quarter. It's 10-7. It's actually been a little bit of a wild and crazy game so far. The story of this game has been penalties and turnovers and special teams. We are moving the ball on offense. For the most part, they are not. And then everything else has been happening as action in other forms. We had our first drive of the game where we were moving the ball right down the field, well into their territory, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, seemingly, we had a penalty. And then the next play, we had a penalty. And the next play, we had a penalty. And the next play, we had an injury. And then we punted, and then immediately shut them down. And see, there you go again. We make a big stop there. We make a sack, and then we get called for a penalty. And then we get called for another penalty. I've been called for about 8 penalties already in this game. There's another sack. No penalty this time. But we've shut them down over and over and over again, only to be called with some sort of flag that resets. And over again, Air Force is getting redo after redo, or we make a good play on offense and they get a redo. So that's been the main story, has been the penalties. I don't even think I've seen Air Force called for one yet, and yet we've got at least 8 or 9 penalties by right now. And otherwise, we've been controlling this game. Now, the other part to that story has been turnovers. We had a fumble, turned it over when we were moving the ball well, but we had started deep in our own end because of all the penalties that set us back 30-something yards on that previous drive, that one I already told you about at the start of the game. And then all of a sudden, after starting that drive deep in our own end and turning it over, they had good field position, and we shut them down. And then a penalty after a 3rd and long where we stopped it. In fact, it was a sack, and we got called for a penalty on that one. They ended up with a first down. And then in oddity, we stopped them on 3rd down. And then it was like, oh, they're going for it on 4th here instead of taking the field goal. But no, it said 3rd down again. So some sort of glitch. They got a second chance through a bug, and they had back-to-back 3rd downs. We stopped them the first time. Second time, they got a guy with no one within 15 yards of him. Wide open. Wide open. And he caught it. And got the first down. And anyway, they ended up getting a score out of all that just weird sequence of plays, and they led 7-0. But since then, we've been in control. We had a pick 6 to level the score at 7, and then we nearly had another pick 6 almost moments later. We returned it about 50 plus yards, and were taken down in the red zone. Unfortunately, we couldn't convert that into a score. Guess what? There was a penalty When we did get the first down, we had a penalty and it reset to third and whatever. And we ended up having to take the field goal. That made it 10-7. And here we are again. A 41-yard attempt by Sandy Clark makes it 13-7. So as much as we've been in total control of this game, they are still less than a score behind us. Also, after one of those scores, the ball was kicked all the way into the very, very back of the end zone, and yet they decided to return it, and they returned it over 70 yards. But then we shut that one down and got the ball back. Like I said, crazy game here so far that we are in total control of, and yet not. So we'll watch a little bit longer here and see what happens. That looked like a fumble. The guard picked it up. Yes, it was. Guard picked it up, though, so no turnover this time, and it's 4th and 4. Harris will punt for Air Force, and we get the ball back, and wow, that's a heck of a punt. 63 yards for the touchback. Must have bounced and rolled. We start the drive from our 20, and it's going to be an option left, but the quarterback hangs onto it again. It's not the first time that Ware has done that in this game, where he has had the option and could have handed it off, pitched it, and instead keeps it and loses yardage. 3rd and 4. Whoa, you had a gap. Who tripped you up? I'm not sure who tripped him up on that one, but unfortunate, because he had plenty of room to run. Easily would have had the first down, probably 7, 8, 9 yards on that play, maybe even more than 10. And he had the blocking, he had the space. Somebody, somewhere, was able to get a hand on him and bring him down. Oh, for a second I thought that might be intercepted, but that ball was over the head of the corner, and apparently it was over the head of the receiver as well. And, oh, look, another penalty. Still not sure that I've seen them called for one. Not saying that they definitely haven't. But right now their quarterback is 3 for 14 and has been under immense pressure as we bring him down again. And we get called for a penalty, unnecessary roughness, again, which I've been called for that at least 6 times. Is this quarterback so frail that if you touch him, it's unnecessary roughness? Because that's what I'm getting called for over and over again. And again, and again, and again. I've had so many sacks negated by an unnecessary roughness call in this game. It is absurd. That one is complete. 9 yards, only their 4th of the game. And they're going to have a real chance on this one. It looks like they got it. They do. First down. So one good play there by the offense. Just enough to squeeze out a first down. Here's another sack. Ooh, the quarterback's injured on play. So sorry. New quarterback in. Go for the run. It's 3rd and 16. Pressure coming. The new quarterback not doing any better as he is sacked. No unnecessary roughness this time. Just the necessary kind. Punt. Relatively short one. Not much of a chance for a return, but Bentley still manages to get 8 yards out of it, making that just a 28-yard net. This time the option finally does result in the pitch, but no block from the quarterback, as those two were lined up very awkwardly. A short dump off over the middle to like 6 defenders. No wonder he dropped it. He probably got sandwiched. This one, the handoff on 3rd and stupidly long. The stupid play call results in a 5-yard gain and a forced punt. I don't want to play the yardage game. I don't want to play the let's move the line of scrimmage a little bit and then do a stupid short punt of 32 yards with no return out of bounds. I'd like to play for the first down, and I'm really sick of that. The AI making that play call over and over again. I have not edited the playbook. I really feel like I need to. Because the play calling on 3rd and long has just been unacceptable. 24 seconds left in the half. It's 4th and 3. They will punt. But it looks like we'll also be heading into the locker room here in just a moment. And especially after Bentley losing 4 yards on the attempted return. And yes, we do in fact run. That should take us to half. Or not. Yes, okay, it does. So, third quarter kicks off 13-7. Let's go ahead and skip to the end of this one. Like I said earlier, we are in total control of this game while somehow allowing Air Force to still be in this thing. We should win, and we should win by a lot. And in the end, we do pull away quite a bit. They get one score in the third, but otherwise we run away with it in the fourth with 17, 38-14 final score. Ware was 21 for 27, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. And quick glance at the box score. Bentley, 22 for 130 yards. Bradley and Pittman, both good days. Clark and Randall, 3 for 3 on field goals between the pair. Holcomb, 6 tackles to lead all. That's a pretty small number, but you can see we really spread the love on that one. Quite a few tackles for loss. Quite a few sacks in there. A lot more sacks that didn't get called due to penalties. We've got multiple forced fumbles. A lot of pass deflections. 3 interceptions. So we kept that pressure up in the second half there. The penalties, the crazy number of penalties. It looks like things did settle down, though, in the second half. And no surprise as we pulled away in the second half. Pancakes, decent numbers. See that they barely got called for any penalties. They got a few 5-yarders. And then Coffee, the only one who got in really any trouble. And the big yardage on that, the bulk of that came from that kickoff return where you got called for an illegal block. But that brings us up to 3-2 now, plus 500. That is a nice position to be in. After the improved recruiting class of last year, the team's looking better and better and better. That prestige should start to increase more and more. We're not in the cellar anymore, but we're still very much in the bottom of college football in that respect. As we were, a 32, 33, 34 originally, something like that. Up to 38 puts us up above maybe a half dozen teams. But if we start getting into the low 40s, that'll definitely start moving us up quite a bit. So week 6 recruiting summary, Cameron Perez going to Washington. That was the one we were no longer targeting, so no worries there. Wilkerson, about average. Really good potential for Gifford. Payne, about average. Ridley, above average. So far, we're still the only ones on those guys. There's a big one. Roberts, amazing. Martinez, incredible. And it looks like Savoy, we're in trouble with him. He has been offered from others, so Savoy we got to watch out for. Okay. Where? Players crying now. Oh, I think Savoy. Yeah, Savoy, no problem. That was the one who was already. We're still assigning points because he has interest, just in case. And because I have lots of extra points, because we only have 12 scholarships. But not worried about it. Oregon State was after him. Let's make sure that everybody else is still just us. See, we have a little bit of interest here and there from some of these guys. Nothing major, though. Heck, Savoy was the highest so far. That's kind of why I haven't quite given up on him yet. Okay. Well, that's decent enough. Nobody else is being recruited by anyone. I'd like the interest level to be a little bit higher somewhere in there. We're still looking good for retaining all of those players. Now, as we move forward, it is Fresno State that's up next. This is one of the better teams. I think we're going to be a lot more competitive than we were in the past. But that does not mean we're going to beat Fresno State, who is easily one of the best 2 to 3 programs here in Mountain West. And it is not this week, is it? It's week 7. So it's next week. They play Hawaii this week. We are on the road for this one. We did win that last game on the road, but it's going to be difficult to beat Fresno State. This is what I was talking about in records. Idaho, right? They're 1-4 now. We crushed them. Boston College, good team. They're 2-2. It's not a bad team at all. We beat them on the road. Florida, well, 5-0. It's Florida. They're ranked 6th in the nation. So that one was difficult. But then San Diego State, the surprise loss that we had, especially when it was at home, they're 4-1 this season. So San Diego State is actually looking really, really good. Air Force 1-4, and we beat them. The score should have been more spread out than it was. Right now we've got a more challenging game because we're on the road, and look at all these games on the road this season compared to where we've been. We've only had 2 home games so far. We're going to have 5 of our first 7 games on the road. And then we'll finish the season with 4 or 5 at home. But that's a tough stretch. Hawaii is not going to be easy on the road either. But if we can get one of these, it's going to really set us up for the end of the season, because outside of Boise State, all of those home games are winnable. And then, well, Nevada might be tough, but we certainly could be on our way to at least 3 or 4 more wins, and, well, 4 more wins would be plus 500. Woo! All right, we are going to move more quickly through this episode as we are into the heart of the season, though. So I'm going to go straight into simulating the week, and we'll box score this one. The whole point on this series is develop a team from the bottom and get them to the top. And that's not going to happen in one season. That's not going to happen in 1 or 2 or 3 games. It's going to happen through a lot of recruiting and improving my coaches' ratings, which, remember, were all 1s initially. And we're just now starting to get to the point where our half stars are becoming full stars in a few areas. Oh, and we didn't even have a game this last week anyway, did we? So let's go ahead and go into the recruiting. Make sure everything's still good on this front. Savoy going down. BYU's in there now. Let's just go ahead and finish that off. Drop them. We lost a lot of points of interest. Now we can focus on who we were actually after, the 12 players. I wish there was a quick way to check this. Am I looking at the same ones? I think I am. Oi. Work with me here. Stop resetting to the top. Very annoying. Alright, well now it's the Fresno State game, so we're going to just simulate the week again. This time we will go back to check the box score. Last time there was no box score to check. That was a bye week. Bye week behind us. One more week of recruiting to come. And how do we do against a team like Fresno State on the road? Quite well, actually. Quite well. 42-28 victory. 14-14-14 in 3 of the 4 quarters. Williams had 54 attempts. Dang. We had a busy game here. Fresno struck first. They led throughout the first half. But then the second half we took over. It was level at the end of 3 quarters. And we finally go ahead in the fourth. So 2 scores in the fourth to take the win. 1 early in the quarter, 1 late in the quarter. And that was actually 3 straight unanswered scores there in the second half, beginning with the final seconds of the third quarter. First downs, slight disadvantage. We weren't quite as good on third either. Total yardage was fairly similar. Fairly, I should say. We had 21 fewer pass attempts, but our yards per pass was definitely better. We had more yardage on the ground, but it took 10 more attempts to get that. But the yards per rush, very similar. Both teams could not move the ball on the ground very well. Penalties, again, hurting us. 1 more than them, but 30 yards more. Turnovers were the big story apparently on the day. Ware, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Pretty solid rating for that one. Williams had 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions for Fresno State. So the quarterbacks seem to be the story. Williams had a lot more attempts, but he threw it away a few times. Clark missed his only field goal attempt of the game. I think that might have been his first miss of the season. As far as I can remember, anyway. Wyman, huge day. 6 tackles, 4 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions. Gaccio had 1 and 1 also, and a tackle for a loss. We managed a few sacks in the game. They had more sacks than we did, so Ware was definitely under pressure. So that's a good performance considering all the time he spent under pressure. You can see we had a lot of 15-yarders. Looks like 4 15-yarders. That's what really hurt us in this game. Pancakes. Whoa, Keenan. That boy filled up on pancakes today. So solid performance brings us to 4-2. Of these 2 games, I expected more out of Hawaii, with a small chance of getting Fresno State. If we can get both, that really sets us up for a plus 500 season. I mean, at the moment, we're already 4-2 anyway. We only need 2 games to reach 500, 3 to be plus 5, and we still got 6 to play. We're halfway through the season. right now we're still looking really good. And the fact that all of the players we're targeting are still not being targeted by others, or at least not in an interest level type of way. And the downside for us is I don't think we'd be showing up on their list of interest either. That is one thing I have noticed. I think the way it works is interest only shows up once you are plus 50 on interest. So if we go plus 50, it's going to show our name down there. So I think it works that same way with the other teams. Theoretically, that works against us because there actually could still be other schools that are recruiting them. They're just not interested in them either. But I don't think teams actually put an offer in unless they are plus 50 on interest. And that seems to be what gives us an edge. There you go. Savoy, Oregon State signed on. No worries. We let him go anyway. And we're going to hammer out another one. Another road game against Hawaii. And we're going to box score this one as well. We've already got that 1 out of 2 on the road that we needed. So this is a bonus if we are able to take it. We're 4-2, they're 2-4, but we've had to travel. So you never know. And apparently, we had a bye week. Did we really? We got another bye week? We did. Okay, so we've got one more to go. I'm not even going to check the recruits this week. I'm going to wait another week. We'll see. No, we will not. Unfortunately, both defensive tackles, just like that, instantly signed with somebody new coming along. Payne and Gifford, both gone. Virginia Tech and LSU picking them up. That sucks. That really sucks for us. So with that, we do need to get in here. Let's start by checking the damage elsewhere, like Florida State coming along and stealing our quarterback. And his interest is gone just like that, so we're going to need a new quarterback and 2 defensive tackles. Okay, so I won't offer yet because Martinez is still on the list, but with the interest only 8 and Florida State coming along, of course he's going to end up signing with them. So quarterback and then 2 defensive tackles. So let's go to both and we'll go quarterback. And as we were already down to number 99, I doubt that these first 4 are going to be available. Now that we're going below 99, anywhere from here, I like that. Only dropping 1 spot on the list. We're on the recruiting list. How about not recruiting? Oh, that's right. Okay. So we'll put in 10 points, 20 points, and schedule an interview. But we won't offer yet. We need to put that into the defensive tackles. I have no idea where we're at ranking-wise on these guys, other than one of them was just past 100. And I think one was inside 100, so we're already into uncharted territory here. Penn State after him. Penn State after that guy as well. Ole Miss, Missouri, somebody, thank you. Sean Nelson, Mesa, Arizona. Rutgers. You'd think we would have a chance, but no. Remember, I have virtually no chance. We're down to a three-star guy now, but that is okay. That is okay. All right, so 10 points, 10 points, 20 interviews and scholarships. Remember, when you're as bad as my team is, you're not looking for guys to fit your system. Quality programs might look for specific guys to fit the system. All of these guys are better than what I have in general, and all of them are a steal. So we take what we can get, and then we kind of build our roster around that. But it's position by position needs and try to fill those out. So we continue on now? Yeah. Let's do it. We're going to sim this week. Get past Hawaii. A chance for 5 wins in 7 games is crazy. I'm not sure we're going to do it, but wouldn't that be something? Hawaii's already dropped to 2-5, so it is a beatable team. And we do pull it off. Are you kidding me? Wow. So cool that we are doing what we're doing here. (30-9) final score. Second and fourth quarters, so we started each half poorly, got stronger as the half went on. Where 50% with 18 of 36, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns. Strong fourth quarter. After they had closed, they got 3 scores. All 3 were field goals, so no touchdowns by Hawaii in this game. We did not do terribly well on offense, but they were awful on offense. 2 for 19 on third. We were 3 for 20. We had 390 yards. That's bad. 254 is awful. You can see almost all of it was through the air. They were slightly better than 50%, but our yards per pass was far better than theirs. And you can see the huge gap in rushing. In fact, they were less than 1 yard per carry. And we didn't get in trouble with penalties for a change. 2 turnovers, both interceptions. Not a very good rating for their quarterback. Ours was pretty dang good. He didn't have a huge day at 50% and 284, but he did have a couple touchdowns, no turnovers, so it still ends up in a pretty good rating. Bentley carrying the load again. Kirkwood, I think he's starting to come back from injury. He had 1 attempt in this game, so he's been out injured for quite a while now. Clark struggling in field goals again, missing both a chip shot and a long one. Otherwise, we would have had 6 more points in this game. Defensively, Wyman stepping up, 3-1. Dexter, 2-1. A couple sacks for Tovar. Meyer had a big day, getting somebody down behind the line a few times. Again, penalties finally not a major issue. No more than 1 per player. None of them major ones. Headcakes, not a huge advantage there, but we only allowed 1 sack in the game, so that's pretty big. And we did get a few sacks ourselves. Into the email department, a lot of news here. Conference awards, we start there. Tovar, Defensive Player of the Week. A little surprising on that one, as he didn't look to be that impressive on the stat line anyway. 2 more players gone. No, that's last week. My bad. Here we go, week 10. Martinez is gone to Georgia. That's not even who was listed. It was Florida State, but Martinez goes to Georgia. Where above average potential. Above average for Nelson and Shell. Oh, no other teams. Okay. Incredible potential. Okay, that's, well, with the other quarterback gone, he will definitely be our guy now. Training report. Very weak part of the season here with only 3 guys developing. Valdez, angry, wah, wah, wah. And Hardaway also not Penny, a.k.a. Anthony. I think I heard something about him coaching. Is he coaching college basketball now, Penny Hardaway? Used to play for the Orlando Magic back in the day. Played alongside Shaq, if I remember correctly, when Shaq was with the Magic. It's been quite a few years, and that wasn't my team, so can't say for certain. Okay, so it looks like the only thing we have to do this week is we need to offer a scholarship to the quarterback, as long as everybody else is still looking good. Well, let's start by finding him. There you go, Shell. Yeah, nobody else is recruiting. Good. And it looked like there was still a small window of info we didn't know, so we'll go ahead and set that up. And then make sure everybody else is still good. Where, let's give you the final few points also to get the complete report. Uh-oh. Cave has no interest, and 2 other schools are coming in, so we're going to need a new tight end. And it looks like we're going to lose our guard as well. Alright, now I don't need to replace those 2 just yet, but we need a guard and a tight end. So we'll start with scouting and recruiting points. Guard, tight end, guard, tight end. Uh-oh, big jump. 5-star recruit that everybody's after, all the way down to number 359, a 3-star guard. Ouch. Okay, there's the guard, and then tight end. Yeah, I've not had much luck recruiting linemen. That has definitely been a weak spot for me. A lot of the other positions we've been able to recruit well. Excuse me, but we have not had much luck in that department. Alright, there's a guard. There's a tight end. Did we clear the email? Yes, we did. And at 5-2, we're having a heck of a season right now. This week, we are at home against New Mexico. And then we've got a difficult road game against Nevada. Nevada is ranked just inside the top 25, but at 7-1 and on the road. I don't like our chances too much with that. And then we're going to follow that up with another really difficult game, this time at home, but against Boise State. The conference is later. But then we've got UNLV struggling this season 2-7, East Carolina struggling 2-6. So we've got 3 winnable games in the last 5. We should go 3-2, theoretically. And that would be an 8-4 season. That would by far be the best season we've had, but we'll see if we actually get that done or not. But we're going to have to wait till the next episode. That's going to do it for this one. I'm Decathlon Gamer. And remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe and tune in next time on my Road to the Record. Bye for now.